Jimmy Haslam has pulled all of his advertisements, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, off of ESPN and the SEC network because of the Seth Wickersham article that went up that criticized his management style, that basically called him racist, that said that he was incompetent, and that touched on his pilot oil management when the company had a lot of charges filed for overbilling and fraudulent behavior. All right, here is the truth. I don't blame anybody here. I think ESPN has an obligation, if they have a story that's written by talented journalists, to run a story about the management of the Cleveland Browns and the challenges they have seen. I think Jimmy Haslam has millions of dollars to spend on advertising, and the likelihood that he's getting a substantial bump by using ESPN and the SEC network is probably not that high. It's an overall branding play. So if he's spending millions of dollars and he feels like he's being treated unfairly, or that article unfairly treated him, I don't begrudge him for pulling out all of the ads that air on ESPN and the SEC network. The person who really has a reason to be upset here is the SEC network, because they didn't run this article at all, and they're getting tarred and feathered based on their associational connection to ESPN, which seems to me to be fairly unfair. Here is the big challenge that has never made sense. It's the fundamental challenge that exists for sports media companies that are effectively partners of the NFL and any other sports league. There's no way you can legitimately cover the league that you rely on making billions of dollars from. There's no way you can do that in a realistic fashion. Honestly, the ESPN news gathering organization should be a different company than ESPN, the television production company. And I'm not saying like the opinion-based programming makes a big deal. If I come on my show on Fox and I say, I think Jerry Jones trading for Amari Cooper was brilliant or it was a disaster, Jerry Jones understands that that's my job. But if I come on and I say that Jerry Jones, like what ESPN said about Haslam, if they say, look, he's an incompetent executive, here's 5,000 words we're researching and interviewing and doing an investigation on how incompetent he is, that's not something that flies. That's not something that makes sense from a business perspective. Look, I understand all the Big J journalists out there, and I started using the phrase Big J journalism years and years ago on my 3HL radio show. I said there's a difference between Big J journalism and people who have fun, right? I have fun talking about sports. By and large, I'm not in the business of catching people for doping, right? Like, I'm not going to catch anybody in the doping scandal. I'm not going to do a 10,000-word expose on Jimmy Haslam's management of that show, all right? This is, I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, some people are saying, oh, you didn't come out. Go Google it, all right? I used this for years on radio, making fun of people who thought they were legitimate journalists covering real news, right? For years, I've been on this. I think it's funny. I am in the opinion of sports is fun, right? People out there who consider themselves to be legitimate journalists, I have always said, go cover something that matters, right? Go to Afghanistan and figure out whether we're spending our money well there. Don't embed yourself with the Cleveland Browns and try to figure out how the organization is being run. You're wasting your talents on many levels, all right? But I don't begrudge Jimmy Haslam here. I don't begrudge ESPN's decision. I don't begrudge anybody making the decision here, except I feel bad for the SEC network because they are getting destroyed here, losing millions and millions of dollars, having all their advertisements pulled, and it's a big deal because it's sometimes hard to sell regional network ads like they are for the SEC network. It is ridiculous and unfair. Colin does a good job making fun of Big J's too. We've talked about this.